Nina's Bag is a podcast that I began because I wanted to be able to create a safe space to have conversations about a multitude of topics. Today, let's see what's in Nina's bag. Today, we're blessed to have a young lady that terms herself as a serial creative entrepreneur. And I have to tell you that it fits, her title fits so very, very well. This young lady has done things that I have never done, that I hope to one day do. She's already done them. Um, we have the privilege to have Miss Rashon Forrest with us today. And Rashon's story in itself is mind blowing. But she is so accomplished. She's an accomplished author. She's an accomplished creator of several things, which we're going to get into. And hopefully we'll be able to show you, so that if you want to purchase these things, please look up her site that she's going to give you. But we're going to start with Rashon's story. So Rashon Forrest, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for asking me,
You're
Nina.
amazing. You're
Thank you.
beautiful.
So are you, Nina. Yeah,
But
you are.
I am so happy to have you. Previously, when we talked, we were going to have this during the month of October, which was relatable to the topic. So I want you to give people what you've given me in the last 15 minutes and more.
Okay.
Can we start with, so Rashon Forrest goes to my church, which is Riverview Missionary Baptist Church. Rashon never stops blowing my mind. I walked in one day, she was doing a video at the church, and I was like, wow, you do videos? So she broke it down. She said, I graduated from blah, blah, blah.
It's you. You know.
She graduated from Howard University. Did you go to Howard University? My mama said, no, that's too far away. This little thing, not only did she go, but she went and graduated.
It's only 6 hours away. It ain't
Oh,
far.
only?
Yeah, that ain't
My
far.
mother wouldn't let me go to FIT in the city 2 hours. You went to Howard. So
We gotta let our kids be free, y'all.
Yes,
Let your
we
kids
do.
be free.
Yes, we do. And that I'm trying to definitely live by that. So I just want to take it back to like when you were young. When um at our church I used to see this cute little girl who I thought was probably 10. She was probably 15 or 16 at the time. I thought she was 10. She never looked her age. You never gonna look her age. You got the magic. I think you got it from your grandmama. Who gave it to your mama. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
So tell us about so our topic, I'm gonna let Rashon talk about it because I didn't learn about this topic. I learned about it from someone else, but I did not realize that it was relatable to her. I had no idea because she has so much movement. She's a mover and shaker. So tell me about how things began. I read your book, which we're gonna get into, which gave me a little more insight, but I want them to get it
Okay.
from you.
So 38 years ago, just over 38 years ago.
Did you know that? 38. I keep wanting to squeeze her cheeks like she's getting ready to turn 20.
So 38 years ago, just over 38 years ago, when my parents found out that they were pregnant,
She was.
they didn't know that I was gonna be born with some challenges. It wasn't until November, Thanksgiving week, Thanksgiving week, that Tuesday, that they heard the word spina bifida.
How did they? This is before you were actually born?
No, they didn't know until I came out, was pulled out. My mother had a C-section.
Okay.
So they did not know, cesarean section. They did not know that I would have spina bifida until I was pulled out of her stomach, and she didn't see because she was behind the curtain.
Of course.
My father saw me, and he saw I was born with a bubble on my back, on the just where my buttocks meets my back. There was
So your lower back.
my lower back. There was a bubble.
So just for the purpose of making sure that everybody is understanding what spina bifida is.
Okay. Spina bifida is in layman's terms means split spine. So my spine was not developed.
Or curvature
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, it was not developed fully when I was born. Some have the bubble inside and or outside, and part of their spinal cord is in the bubble, and all the nerves and everything that
Are exposed, right?
yep are exposed. Some people have the bubble, some people don't have the bubble, I believe, and all of that is exposed.
So I just want to give you guys a full picture. When you'll check out this video, just note that she walked in here. She drove here. She walked in here.
Hallelujah.
You know when we used to say, "But God."
Yes, all
Well,
glory.
well,
You're gonna get me crying already. All glory and honor
I got
to
chills
God.
too. This is
Um,
crazy.
yeah, they said I wouldn't walk. They said I wouldn't talk. They said I wouldn't be. They said I would be mentally challenged. But we just talked about me graduating from the Mecca of HBCUs, Howard University. HBCUs means historically Black colleges and universities. For those
Yes,
that
that's why I wanted to
for
call it
those
Howard.
for
That's
those that
great.
don't know what HBCUs are.
So this term spina bifida,
Mhm.
I knew what it was, but still had no idea that it was a topic that had any kind of relatability to you,
Mhm.
because I've always seen you. I saw you moving slow
Mhm.
earlier years, but I didn't take it. I'm not nosy enough, I think. You know what I mean? Because people usually will see something, like even the smallest thing, like, we as people sometimes look for the wrong things. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And didn't I didn't even really notice it. So like when your mom had you and your dad was in a position where he could actually see that there was challenges,
Mhm.
how hard was that for parents to deal with something,
I guess they didn't know.
the severity of
Yeah,
it?
they didn't know the severity. I don't think they really knew about it, even though my grandmother was a nurse for
That's my
41
girl.
years, for 41 years
That's
at
my
Kingston Hospital.
Yes, she was. She made me proud.
They did
So
it.
many days.
I don't know if up until November 25th, 1986, they had her to term themselves.
I'm sure.
Um,
That
and at 25 and 27, and you hear that something's wrong with your child,
yeah,
you're like,
First,
okay,
first of all, for any parent,
yeah,
like you as a mom, when you're pregnant, you worry anyway. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So the title of today's segment, I forgot to say, is defeating the odds. Because just to reiterate what you just said, they said you wouldn't walk. They said you wouldn't talk. You wouldn't be verbal. And they said that you would be mentally challenged. This young lady is so on the moon. Wait until you hear about the other things, her accomplishments, because I don't even think you really realize.
No, when people say, "Oh, you're so great, you do this, you do that, you're amazing," I don't see it as that because I'm just living my life and I'm just doing things that I like
Your
to do.
modesty only makes you cuter. I
Thank you.
can't stand it. It only makes you cuter.
So
But no,
when one of the mothers slash deaconess of the church who moved away, she came back up here probably a couple months ago. She was like, "So what have you been up to?" And I said, "Oh, nothing." And Elder Violet said, "Oh, stop it." I'm just like,
I can see Miss.
"Oh, stop it. You do." I'm just like, but I sometimes I don't feel, guess, and I don't feel like I do a lot, but I know I do a lot. But I guess it's in my blood. My father is Jamaican. You know what they say about Jamaicans.
13 jobs.
we
I'm gonna
we
play
have,
with
we have
13 jobs.
we have a myriad of jobs. We're always doing something.
That's so vital. I think that some people, like back in the day, we were taught you work one job and the longer you stay, the more accomplished you are. But no. That's not life. That's not real life.
Yeah.
Even going back 10, 20 years, that stopped a long time ago.
Yeah.
So you're versed in a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit more about your history. So, like, all right, so your mom and dad realized, we have a beautiful baby that has challenges. So, how did you get from, now I'm picturing somebody that comes into this world that has challenges that are, they're pretty much, if evidently you had good, your mom's a beautiful person,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Rachel is just amazing.
Yeah.
And her mom is,
Yeah.
I love her mom. But I think that if people have support, family
Yeah.
support, you can defeat the odds.
Yeah, I think that's important, and to have God in your life too. My mother, I
Of
did a
course.
documentary on my life. Wow, 20 years ago this year. I did it in 2015 to celebrate
She looks 20.
this.
I'm struggling with this. You must get this all the time now.
Yeah, cause and I like to play the game when people, oh, how are you? Guess I like to play that game,
I've been
but
lying about I meant to convince myself that what I say is true.
but I did a documentary on my life 20 years ago.
Wow. Did? Like
Was
a
it 20,
movie? A video?
20 years? No, wait, what's today? No, 10 years ago. Sorry. Wait.
Five
Yeah,
years ago
10 years
doesn't
ago.
matter.
10 years ago, 2015, I did the documentary and I interviewed my mother and my father. So to get to know
Really?
what they said and what their challenges were and how they perceived what they heard,
That's
you can
amazing.
go watch that Life in the Daylight Studios on YouTube, my channel,
There you
and
go.
a whole
Repeat
bunch
that. Repeat
Life
that.
in the Daylight Studios on YouTube. That and a myriad of other things that I have fell into over the years.
So let's talk about it. So was there ever a period where, like, normally babies, for a second, some babies are slower than others, but was there a period for a while that you were not able to walk?
Yes, I didn't walk until I was over the age of 2. My father says that I actually started running before I
I be
started working.
I believe it.
um, and just when I interviewed him for the documentary and to see the reaction so many years after,
How it still affected
yeah,
him.
how it still affected him, thinking back on when he saw me take my first steps.
That's
Um,
crazy. That's so
it's
that's such an
only,
important thing
yeah,
to pass.
it's only by the grace of God that I've been able to do the things that I've been able to do. And not only have spina bifida, but I have hydrocephalus, which is water on the brain. So, so sometimes I don't know if you've ever seen these people, and when I see it, it's just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine.
I
And
have a
they're,
friend right now. God bless her.
mhm,
She's in the hospital right now. She was born with it,
mhm,
and God bless her. I'm going to see her very, very soon.
mhm,
Coming to see you, Chungita.
mhm.
Coming to see you. But
Yeah.
it's a very challenging thing, and for you to be sitting here saying not 20, it's hard for me to even look at you and imagine that you're not 20. But for you to be sitting here saying that they said you weren't going to talk, you were going to be mentally challenged, and to know that you walked almost the same time that a baby with no challenges
Yeah.
walked.
Yeah.
Did you have to go through procedures?
Yeah, I did physical therapy. I have pictures of me at physical therapy on the medicine ball, the big giant green. It was
As a
green
baby?
as a baby.
What?
I had a walker, or like we called when my great grandmother had hers, her Cadillac. I had my own Cadillac at under 2, y'all.
Your
Um,
grandmother was so your great grandmother was so about.
um, but yeah, I had that. I have the spina bifida. I have the hydrocephalus and the club feet. My feet were turned in when I was born. So I had all this surgery within less than 2. And I had to have multiple surgeries for the spina bifida. I have a shunt. I mean, for the hydrocephalus, I have a shunt, a VP shunt. I'm not going to pronounce what it means with the full version.
It's probably
I'm
3,000.
I know how to say it, but I'm probably going to mess it up. See, yep, I'm going to mess it up. VP shunt that drains the
Right.
excess fluid, water off my brain, in my head, down to my
Still
stomach,
to this day.
still to this day. So I as a toddler, I kept having symptoms of the throwing up and the seizures, and so my mother in the documentary, and I believe I talk about it in the book, that I had I had a surgery, and then within a week, I had to go back into surgery because I was still having complications. Um,
Wow.
but it wasn't until the age of 8, after that time and being a toddler, that I had the symptoms and the experience where I could remember. 1995, the summer of 1995
So
was
the hydrocephalus
the hydrocephalus was.
cause memory loss
No, it doesn't cause memory. No, it doesn't cause memory loss because, but you nobody really remembers what
as a child,
as a child. Yeah,
as an infant. You don't
yeah,
remember those
yeah.
years.
You don't
Yeah,
remember what happened
yeah,
to you. Some people say they do, but who does?
yeah. I,
I don't know.
I
But
remember.
yeah, but I don't. The first time I knew that yes, there was something wrong with me. I always knew, I guess, that there was something, but we're all different. Everybody's different. Somebody is different from the, but
You
I'm
came
not
be,
nobody's normal. What is normal? What's
no,
normal?
your beginning involved procedures and doctor's appointments and
Yeah,
therapy. So that was normal. That was your
yeah,
normal.
yeah,
So I understand what you're
yeah,
saying. So you were saying to take you back to where you were before. You said it wasn't until you were 8.
yeah. That I remember having any symptoms or any complications because I had spina bifida and hydrocephalus. Um, the club feet always showed up in my life. I always was on crutches because my feet were always getting sprained or whatever. Always having pain in my. I run slow.
I never. This is.
um, but in
I'm in so much admiration of you. I
thank you.
already was, and I don't blow smoke. Y'all, anybody that knows me knows I don't just tell people things to hear it for them to say something nice. I mean what I say. But I've been around her for years. There was no whining. There was no. I'm around.
Publicly.
Okay, but I'm around adults that complain if they have a cold or complain because they're sore because they're not moving enough. Or I'm around adults that are just privileged and complain for nothing. And you've been through 3 lifetimes of things, not one, 3 lifetimes of things. So, like, I'm in big admiration of you.
Thank you, Nina. So 1995, I was throwing up. I was having seizures. Um, I didn't know why. My mother probably had some idea of why. My grandmother definitely probably had some idea of why with her profession.
Very smart.
Um, the one of the instances of me having a seizure that sticks out into well, there's two. One that happened here in Kingston is that we were at my house, and Aunt Marge, Grandma Marge, for those who
We love
Elder Marge, or her names. But that's my auntie Marge. She was at our house, and I had a seizure, and we got in the car. She sped up Delaware Avenue, ran all the red lights just to get me to Kingston Hospital. So that's one. Another time is we were at the Galleria in Poughkeepsie Galleria,
Wow.
and every time I go there, I park in that parking lot, not because of what happened, because that's the easiest parking lot to go to, up by
I know
um
exactly what you mean.
the
When it has the covers on it.
over by Best
Oh, on
Buy.
the other
Yeah,
side. On the other side.
Over by Best
Got
Buy
it.
and H&M and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I still remember when we were walking out that I had a seizure, and I was still, sometimes when people have a seizure, they're not conscious that they're having a seizure, like they fall out and they have no memory
lose
of it.
that time, right?
But I still have some memory of it. I remember laying out in the street. I remember throwing up. I remember mom yelling and telling OJ, who was probably all of 6, 7 at the time, 5 or 6 at the time, OJ, call 911. Get somebody to call 911. So I remember all of that.
Imagine your brother.
Yeah,
Like imagine him seeing that.
yeah.
Wow.
And then there's even, I think I came across it not too long ago. I don't know how I came across it, that there's a picture of me in the Daily Freeman. They got my name wrong.
Did they do you right?
They got my name wrong. They in the caption.
No comment on the grounds of self-incrimination.
in the caption they have, but they have me. They got me slipping, y'all. I'm on the table. I think it was at Forsyth. It was at Forsyth Park, and I was asleep. I had my head on the table and I was asleep because I was tired. I was sick basically the whole summer. Um,
This is after that seizure? Or,
Probably I don't know when it was.
Mhm.
I don't know the exact.
So there's been more things than just what you're giving us
Mhm.
because they're big diagnoses.
Mhm.
They're not simple things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like I was saying before, people with hydrocephalus, they have these big heads, and my father said that when they were trying to decide whether or not to have the surgery, to have the
Sure.
shunt installed in me, that they saw this other child that was there at the hospital in Honolulu, Hawaii. Hello, hey Tripler.
Wait, you were in Honolulu.
Yes,
Wait,
my father
you were
was.
born here.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, I'm learning something new every 2 seconds.
I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. My father was in the military, so at the time that I was born, he was stationed in Hawaii. So
The whole.
I have the privilege of being born in the most beautiful place on earth. Um, And funny enough, back in the day, they used to call Tripler Crippler because they would have a lot of fatalities. And I think a lot of
What's Tripler? A hospital?
Tripler is a hospital, Tripler Medical Center. They used to call it Crippler because I think they like I said, they've had a lot of
Wow.
fatalities. And I believe the story is that they were infant fatalities.
Ooh.
But
Oh.
there is a God.
How many years were you in Honolulu?
At least two, because my
So you were
brother
born there
is.
and you lived there for 2 years. So when you had some of your initial care, it was in Honolulu,
Yeah.
or did they?
No, it's in Honolulu. The military, y'all, they took care of us
They
because my bills,
They do.
my medical bills could have been sky high
No,
between,
they just covered it.
yeah, between all the surgeries I had, the medical equipment that I have to use, the materials that I have to use. I do cath myself. I do not go to the bathroom on my own, number one. And I,
Now that would be see, because spina bifida,
yeah.
I know it to be I was taught curvature of the spine,
Mhm.
or opening of the spine.
Mhm.
So would that be a cause, or something that happens because
Yes,
of the spina bifida?
yeah,
Because there's
spina
a lot
bifida.
of medical things. It's deeper than just the spine
Yeah,
and the head thing.
yeah. Somebody, well, most of the stores that I know, excuse me, we have no bladder or bowel control. So
Because of the
yes,
spine,
because of the spina
because of
bifida.
the cord.
I don't know why there's no bladder. It probably has something to do with the nerves and but for the most part I can tell when I have to go to the bathroom.
But it's
But
connected to your brain, so
yeah.
that only makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't void myself. I mean, who really voids themselves fully when they go to the bathroom? You void yourself enough to say, I don't have to go to the bathroom anymore. But and I can go to the bathroom on my own, but I do use a catheter to make sure that most of the urine is out of my bladder so I don't have an accident, even though I still do have accidents at 38. Front and back.
I think
One and two.
women do.
One and two.
So I'm just gonna say this, your honesty I love and I
Yeah.
respect, but there's so many pieces to this puzzle,
Yeah.
to this uh serial creative entrepreneur,
Mhm.
then we gotta get to that other stuff. So I wanna talk a little bit. So all right, so you walked into, had all kinds of medical conditions still, all of those years, and you were so beautiful to be specific with us because some people look at you and they'll be embarrassed, but her journey has been. I love that you meant that you said having God in your life because, well,
Yeah.
if you've been through things,
And
you have to know that
that's a testament to my mother. She says in the documentary
beautiful.
that she was in the front of the elevator and I guess she was going through a moment of doubt of what's going to happen to my child or whatever. I was in the hospital for whatever reason I was at the time.
It happens.
And she said she was crying. And then all of a sudden she said she felt something walk past her. It looked both ways, looked behind her, was nobody there, nobody physically there.
Exactly.
But she said after that she felt such a peace that.
Like, let me just do, I can relate to that. So it's so important that Nina's bag brings amazing stories like this, because I recently, maybe in the last year, I remember you and I having a conversation, and I only knew about spina bifida. You've given me a whole 300,000 other things that I was unaware of, and your spirit is so beautiful. Like, you smile all the time. You have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
Your mama gave you that. But I think that it's so important that we actually, as people, as humans, that we have relatable conversations, because you're going to help somebody.
Yeah.
This recording, along with all of your recordings, because she has her own YouTube also. Throw that out there.
Yeah, I want to go back to the bathroom thing. I wasn't always able to tell that. I was afraid. I was ashamed of that growing up, especially with kids. Kids are cruel. I have scars in the back of my head. You wouldn't know it. I have scars in the back of my head, but going through that process of in 1995, they ended up finding out at another Army medical center in Washington, D.C., that something was wrong with my hydrocephalus. I needed my shunt revised.
So you've had, so when a person, because again, there's a lot of innocence to this topic. When a person has a shunt put in for whatever reason, I have a friend that does dialysis. She had a shunt. She's had several issues with it, who I love dearly. It's not like that's a one-shot thing. Like, you might have to have.
Yeah, because people grow. I may be small, but I did grow. But I did grow from the shunt that I had when I was a toddler. I grew it because I was tall. I was a child. I was 8 years old at the time. Yeah, I was 8 years old. So I had to get a new one, and at first they cut one side of my hair. My mother didn't like that because, as she always said, she prayed to God that he would give her child a head full of hair, which he did. But I had to get it cut off one side, and then we went to the doctor. Like, oh no, we can't work with this. We got to get the whole head cut off. So they cut my whole head. I was bald, and so when I came back, going into the second grade.
Did you go to set? Were you in?
Yep, I went
because Army people that are in the Army, you're.
So by the time I was 8, my parents had divorced. So
you started out in Honolulu. You stayed 2 years in Honolulu,
and we moved to Virginia.
Your mother, and
my father, me, my mother, my father. He got stationed in Virginia.
Who's OJ? OJ's her brother. But
so we all lived in Virginia, and then
where was he born?
He was born in Hawaii too. He was born 2 years after me, so we were still in Hawaii at the time. So after my parents divorced, my mother came back to where she grew up, where she was born in Great Oak, Kingston. Sorry if I didn't mean to do. I didn't mean to say it like that.
I'm so glad that I'm not the only person. I say things since I was little. My mother always, please, I went to school early to get out of Kingston. Here I am again.
Yep, that was my that was my plan to.
But we're doing big things.
To make sure that I did what I needed to do to get up out of here. But God saw fit to not bring me back once, not bring me back, not have me grow up here, but bring me back one time and then bring me back another time. God, I don't know what you're doing, but you do. I don't.
I didn't question that myself several times, but listen, there might be a season for it. And like
multiple ones. I got to be a boomerang.
Well, I just want, there's so many facets to this, and I don't want to have to, we can do a part 2, but I want to spend part 2 more on your entrepreneur stuff. So, but I think it's so important about the topic of spina bifida, because if it weren't for you, I would not know that there was a month designated to recognize spina bifida.
Mhm.
And because of that month, when we were talking about, I wanted to have her as a guest back during the month so it would have significance. But it's always going to have significance
Yeah.
because you,
That's my
I'm
life.
going to repeat this several times, defeated the odds.
Yeah.
You defeated the odds. Like you have a story that for months I've been saying, I gotta get Rashon. I gotta have her as a guest. And there's a bunch of topics that Nina's bag is gonna go into, but this one is so important. But as I'm learning still in this session,
Mhm.
that it was spina bifida, hydrocephalitis,
Hydrocephalus.
hydrocephalus,
Mhm.
and clubfoot. But okay, people have life be life. That's a term that I'm starting to use more often.
Yeah.
Than I please, but it's the truth. Life be life. So people can have a cold and it shuts the whole world down. Boom, boom, boom. You defeated the odds and went on not just to defy what they said you wouldn't do. Because not only do she walk, she be switching. She had this.
That could be something. That could be something to do with my gait and the spine and getting a couple of car accidents right here at this traffic circle.
Yellow dress on.
Oh yeah.
She looked so beautiful, and everybody told her how beautiful she looked. And I'm just finding out that yellow's her color.
Yeah, it is. It's the color of spina bifida awareness.
They had a backdrop with. We was taking pictures. I said, "I'm gonna tell switching and yellow."
Not purposely though.
No, I think so.
No.
I think you were that night.
No, my brother always said I had to switch.
I think you did. Everybody was telling you how fly that dress was. There's no way. This was the baddest dress at the whole event. It really was. I was like, what?
It's a good thing I can still get in it. But anyway, back to when I was starting after I got the surgery and had to come back to school in the second grade. I was we were in an assembly, and these fifth graders sitting behind me that were at the time they were being, as an adult I know they were innocently being cruel, they were being kids, but as a second grader they were just being cruel.
In second grade they were too?
No, I was in second grade, they were in fifth grade. They were oh, she got scars in the back of her head. She has stars in the moon in the back of her head. What they say that for? For 22 years after that, I would not get my hair cut low. If I got my hair braided, I had to make sure the scars was covered and everything. In 2017, I got my hair cut for the first time, short in the back to my scalp. You couldn't even see the scars.
You see how we let people manipulate our thinking?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sometimes, I love you would never know that you've been through all that because she's so brave and so outgoing.
Yeah.
That it's hard to believe that she's been through all the things she's been through.
Yeah.
And I just, I want you, so you graduated school in Kingston?
Yes. So I want to say this, spina bifida, having spina bifida and everything that comes with it is the easiest thing in my life right now. But back in 1995.
Wait, tell me how it's the easiest thing.
It's the easiest thing because I know how to regulate it. I know when I have an accident, I know I can go and clean myself up.
But you're so strong-minded because there are people, that's a permanent thing that you know that you know how to deal with. So mm-hmm. I just want for those people out there that are dealing with things, and most of us are. Yeah. Just remember this story because Rashon is a gift from God.
Thank you.
Her parents were given a gift from God. There are people that don't always handle these things well. You know what I mean? I want you to be a source of hope for other people with spinal bifida. And you can't even tell. I wish you guys could see her. She came in with her Howard shirt on. She keeps rubbing that Howard thing in my face.
No, I was gonna get to that. I found out about Howard.
How did you get from here to Howard?
So because of spina bifida. See how God uses something that's hard in your life,
Yes, he
and
does.
that's a crutch or a obstacle in your life, to use it to be a blessing. I never knew that until I got older. I'm just like, yo, he used the spina
That's like
bifida.
growth. That's a
He
spiritual
used
growth.
he used the spina bifida to be a blessing and open up a whole lot of things that I didn't even know was inside me. But anyway,
So you graduated Kingston High School.
graduated Kingston High School, but
How
it
did
was so.
how did Howard even come?
So Howard started because of spina bifida. In 1995, when I was sick, I mentioned that the hospital that figured out what was wrong with me was Walter Reed Medical Center, and it's in Washington, D.C.
Wow,
on Georgia Avenue. Well, it was.
wow.
And what else is on Georgia Avenue? The Howard University. So when the end of the summer of 1995, when I went to go get my stitches taken out from having the surgery done.
You were a graduate?
No, I was in second grade.
Oh wait, wait, because you keep saying 1995, and I'm thinking Howard University. So you were going there when you were two.
No, no, when I was in second grade, is when I got sick, when I had to get my hair cut off and everything.
Right.
And Walter Reed was located up
So
the
that
street from
so
Howard.
you were living in DC at the
No,
time?
I was here in Kingston
But you were going there for services.
because that was we could
And
went to
army.
West that we could have went to West Point, but West Point for whatever reason they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So at that
That
time,
was meant to be.
at that time, Walter Reed
Was the one.
was that medical center, was the Army Medical Center for knowing all things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It.
so they had a
So-
whole spina bifida ward and everything.
So when you
So
all
in
right. So you were
1995,
living in Kingston.
I was living in
But
Kingston.
traveling, your parents were traveling
Yes,
to.
we were, my mother and I and OJ, sometimes we would go. At this time, he was there because there's pictures of me in the hospital and he's in those pictures. That they figured out what was wrong with me. So we had lived where we had lived when we lived in Virginia was right outside of DC. So we already had establishment there. We already have friends, we already have family, we had church family and everything.
You were two, you left Hawaii, then you went to Virginia.
Yes.
And you lived
I
there.
was at least two. I don't know how long after my brother was born that we moved to Virginia.
But how did you stay at? You said you had a kind of like a foundation of friends
Yeah.
and family.
Yes.
So did you stay there for years in Virginia?
At least 2 or 3 years.
And that was on an army base also.
Yes, Fort Belvoir,
And then
which is probably
never heard of that.
10 minutes, 20 minutes outside of DC.
Wow. No wonder listen, this girl will get on that highway like
Sure will.
by herself. Like
Sure will.
I have to talk myself
Sure
into
will.
it.
I drove all the way down
Now I
to
understand
I drove all the way down to Atlanta last year. Yeah, from here.
by yourself.
Yeah. But the thing is, I have stops along the way. I have somewhere to stay in Virginia. I have somewhere to stay in North Carolina. My father's in Georgia, in Savannah, so I stopped there. And then I made my way to Atlanta.
Oh, we gotta hang out. Like you like to move.
I do.
I love that.
I do.
I love that. So all right, Walter Reed, shout out to Walter Reed because you definitely were an important part of this puzzle.
So when we went to go get my stitches taken out, for whatever reason, I know what the reason is now, a friend of the family drove us down Georgia Avenue and said that we were on the most have been.
It affected you from then?
Must have been we were on the right side. So look to your left. I looked to my left. They said that's Howard University. I went back going into the second grade. I'm going to Howard University. Everybody knew me. I was going to Howard University. Only school I applied to.
So from having a procedure, you saw a school at 2, maybe 3, whatever.
No, 8.
Oh, at 8 years old.
Going into the second grade.
And you knew back then that that's what you wanted to do in your college.
I know that's where I was
So
going.
you're very self-determined.
When I was younger, I was.
Right, because we had a conversation. I had to be like,
last year, I mean, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do now as a 38-year-old. Like I said, I have a hand in a whole bunch of other stuff, but
what is
nothing.
that stuff? What is that stuff?
So I,
all right, she went to Howard.
so I went to Howard
University.
University. So I went to Howard. Didn't know what my major was going to be but I knew I wanted to go to Howard.
That happens to everyone.
So
I don't know anybody who goes to school that knows what they're going for.
So I went to school undetermined. It was my sophomore year, second semester, not even going into my second year. Second year, second semester. I was like, you know what? I want to be like Lisa Salters. I love ball. I can't play ball.
Who's Lisa Salters?
Lisa Salters is
bad?
no. A lot of people don't know. Probably that people that watch when I say ball, when I talk and I say ball, that means basketball to me.
Right.
It may mean something to other people, but ball to me is basketball. That's the only sport that matters. Well,
you watch basketball?
I did. No. No.
I won't even mess. But she can't say nothing about Bronny, so we're gonna past that.
But anyway, so where was I?
So all right. So you wanted to be like
Lisa, because I wanted to be like Lisa Salters. Because
player, but
she wasn't a ball player. She was a sideline reporter for the NBA. So I grew up watching ball. Grew up in New York, but I was a die-hard Lakers fan. Yes, I said it, a Lakers fan.
Yes.
But I was a Lakers fan. I fell into being a Lakers fan. I was a Magic fan because I was a Shaq fan. Shaq and Penny Hardaway fan. So back when I was younger, Penny Hardaway and Shaq were on the Magic. So and then when Shaq got traded to the Lakers in '96, I was like, I'm a Lakers fan now. And the same year that he got traded to the Lakers, another person entered the NBA that became my very, very favorite, one of two very favorite players, and people who know me know that I admire Kobe Bryant so much. I have some questionable thoughts now. May he rest in peace. After watching that documentary.
But this is the Rashon E. Forrest, E because of her great grandmother's name.
We shared the same middle name, Eugenia. So I hold that E dear to me.
Yeah, I think you have very meaningful things that most people, especially young people, don't really care about. Like you have a very strong family tie. I know that definitely.
Yeah.
But you've been through things and you didn't let it stop you. So again, the topic, defeating the odds. So
going back, so from watching Shaq and Kobe and then Allen Iverson, who entered into the NBA in '96. Yes. I don't even know when the first time I saw her. Probably didn't even take no. Yeah, I don't even know when I was like, yo, I like her. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do.
My sister used to have a thing for reporters when we were young. Mm-hmm. She knew Walter, all the reporters back then. Mm-hmm. To name them, and we thought she was weird, but
no, she's the only one I can name.
Driven too, so so you knew that this reporter did something that interests you.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a sideline reporter for the NBA specifically. So second semester, sophomore year, I declared my major to be a broadcast journalism major. I like the editing of the video. I've sat in front of a computer for 32 hours editing the video. People's like, Rashon, you're crazy. So when I was in school, my peers, because a lot of people don't like to edit, they would say, Rashon, would you edit my package for me? Yeah. And I would do it for free. Back then, we wasn't even like worried about the money and whatever. But I should have did it for a little coin because I didn't work while I was in school. But I did it at the.
But you made it through an HBCU.
Yes, but
let me ask you something about HBCUs. Now, we're gonna sidetrack a little bit. do they party at HBCUs?
They do, but I'm not a partier. I didn't go to school to party. I went to school because
Wait, did you have fun in school?
yeah, I did. I did, and now
Forrest
that
was
now
actually
that
at Albany State.
now that I'm older, I wish I would have stayed more in the moment of different
What?
things.
Yeah,
But
see,
there's some moments that I do hold, like when we would have movies before they even came out into the theaters, they would show us movies. Those were some of the best experiences in my life. Like they showed the Glory Road. It's the story of basketball.
okay, wait. So you went to an HBC, not just to an HBCU, you went to
The Mecca.
the HBCU.
The Mecca, yeah.
And like I my life was very, very sheltered. I know yours was sheltered.
Yeah.
My mama and your mama was
Yeah.
like, they just don't let you, they were too protective.
Yeah.
They try to hold us back a little bit, but we was defying that even.
Yeah.
So I I went to school not because I was a smart, brilliant person. I went to school to get away from my mom. Mom, I'm telling it. Yes, I am.
I went to school to get away from Kingston. But also I
So
knew
what was your mom? Where was your mom in Kingston and you were in school at Howard?
Mhm.
So you did your
She knew, but she always knew that I wanted to do that because there was no way that
nobody could stop you.
nobody's gonna stop me.
But you didn't go to them like I partied
But
at home. I went to
but
parties and I love to dance. Now wait,
mhm.
so now you like to dance because I be seeing you on the videos on your channel.
I mean, I've always liked to dance.
And
One
she
of
be
my
doing the
basketball,
throwbacks. You be doing the throwbacks on
yes,
your channel.
basketball and BET were my babysitters.
Okay, but wait, you have to see her.
Donnie Simpson.
Not
I
only,
love.
not
I've
only
met
does,
him too.
not only does she put the throwback music on, but she does the dances. How do you remember the dances from back then? That
Music is my
you all got to check out her
music.
stuff.
Music is my thing, Mom. Because
It's universal.
yeah, we went to Philly this past weekend. Tried to go to the the parade for the Eagles.
Did you and your mother?
Mom and grandma. We didn't make it to the parade.
So
We
your
got there.
grandmother would go with y'all?
Yeah, she don't want to be left behind.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
She but she sat in the car because
But
it was
still,
because
she
it was
got
too
in the
far from
car.
because it was too
My
far
mother
from
would
where
be
we
like,
got
oh,
where we parked. It was too far from where it actually yeah.
I'm sure.
But
So listen, all right, we know how you went to
yeah. So that's what I was gonna say.
the
So we
HBCU.
were in this car. Mom said, and she says this all the time, like it's something new to her. Rashawn, you know every word to every song. Because I watched BET growing up.
And you really do.
And then some of the songs that were on, I'm just like, Mom, why did you let me listen to this song?
Oh my God. Getting older, I get older.
No, because I
Instead
was
of
watching because Peaches and Cream by 112 came on, and I knew the words, and they shows we have Sirius XM in
that
the
was
car.
light, nasty stuff back
But
then.
it was in 2001. That song came that I love that album.
That was
That
the light
album came
stuff,
out
though.
in 2001. I was all of 14, 15. When that I was just and I was singing the words as a 38-year-old.
Whatever.
And I'm like,
You
Mom.
was the most protected.
I'm like, Mom, you let me listen to this music at 13, 14, 15.
So let me just understand. So you graduated Howard University
In 05.
in 2005,
Mm-hmm.
communications major.
Broadcast journalism, yeah.
Broadcast, let's get it right. Broadcast journalism.
Same thing.
Which you can do a lot of stuff with still.
Yeah.
But so all right. So but tell me how we got to touch on your book because her book was amazing. Can you just show your book, please, and talk a little bit about how that came about?
So it came
let me
it came about in 2015, going back to the documentary.
you did
And I did a documentary in 2015
what made you do that?
to celebrate the 20 years of when I was sick last. And then and I spoke in 2016 at a prayer breakfast that my church had, Riverview Missionary Baptist Church had. My grandmother put, I mean, well, why don't we have Rashon speak? Thank you, Grandma. But little did we know that God was using her to be used in his plan for my life. So I spoke at that event in 2016
I
in
remember
May.
you like this. That
and
wish you
sh-
could. I
and
just gotta check this book out.
and so I spoke in 2016, and I meant to record myself. I thought I pressed the record button. I did not. So in 2017, I put what I spoke about in 2016 and the documentary, which I did in 2015, and put it together in
It's
2017.
amazing. And because of your skills from
Having
that HBCU Howard,
Yep.
you were able to do splicing and all that. Because I remember when I was in college, they were talking about splicing because there was somebody that was a communications major. And I was like, well, I ain't doing that. I remember thinking that specifically. But so it's amazing to have that technical background because that's one thing I do not have.
And it's not for
has.
everybody because it's very tedious. But with me, people may
but you
be
weren't supposed to talk. You weren't supposed to walk. And you were supposed to have deficits. Like,
Yeah. So for a lot of people, probably even people who work full time as an editor, they don't want to sit in front of a computer all. Me as a creative, I will sit in front of something until it's finished. I won't get up from anything.
If it has work like that.
If it's something creative, I don't,
That's hard.
And sometimes I go to bed late because of it.
It's really hard to put your whole self into something. So I want to push this one.
Okay, so in 2017, when I updated the documentary and put what I spoke about in 2016, Reverend Hardin and his geniuses, he saw the documentary and told my mother, "This can be a book." My mother told me that. I'm just like,
say that again. Reverend Hardin
told my mother that the book could be a documentary. I mean, the documentary could be a book.
Right.
I said, okay, I don't see that. So when I was living in Virginia in 2021, I was coming out of, it was one of the hardest seasons in my life. Coming out of a relationship that I held dear.
But that was in Virginia.
That was no, it wasn't. It was in Virginia.
But how did you get to Virginia? You graduated from Kingston High. You went to Howard University. You came back to Kingston.
I came back to Kingston in 2013.
Did documentaries, all kinds of 50-year-old stuff at freaking 20 in her 20s.
So I moved to the Virginia Beach area in 2016, the end of 2016, because my aunt was up here. She had some health challenges, and she was living with her son-in-law, and her daughter. And she came up here to visit us, and her daughter and son-in-law had just had a baby. And she wanted to go back to where she lived in Georgia. And she was like, well, Rashon, I know you feel some way about Kingston. Why don't you go down and help Tia and Justin out? Okay.
Which is Virginia.
Yes.
Got it.
And let me tell you how this. Let me tell you how this.
You smile so much.
Huh?
Why does Virginia make you smile?
I don't know. That was from that was the first. No, I went to Howard. No, even before going to Howard, Virginia was our second home after Hawaii. So Northern Virginia and and down after you get from probably 20 minutes outside of DC, it's a different feel. But Virginia was that first place that I knew was home for me.
All right, you went to Virginia, but there was a different kind of smile. For some reason, I noticed, like, I don't know. All right, Virginia, I know your family stayed there and whatever, but
I love Virginia. I really do.
Well, wait, it must be the coastal side, not the side that's west is dangerous to people of color, I thought. Is that a myth?
Yeah, Yeah, Virginia Beach is along the
So is
coast.
that where you work, Virginia Beach? Is it in
Yes,
that area?
yes. I was
Got
in
it.
in Hampton Roads, which is 7 cities: Hampton, Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, Suffolk, Norfolk, Chesapeake,
Wow.
and Newport News, I think. But anyway, so that's where my cousins were living at the time in 2016 when my aunt was here. She said, "Why don't you go and live with them?" And so I did, and I just loved it. I
Okay, so I
really
want to
did.
put you back on track
Hmm.
because there are some things that I want to really serial
Entrepreneur.
creative
Entrepreneur.
entrepreneur.
Oh, so yeah. So in 20, we'll talk about how the book came about. So in 2021, in February, around this time of the year, the end of February, the beginning of March, I was listening to the Praise Radio station, and a guy was on the radio with on the Willie Moore Jr. show. His name was AJ Joyner. He was like, anybody can write a book. You have posts about it, you have pictures about it,
So this
you
is where
have
you got your
video,
idea.
you
This is
have
what gave you the
videos,
oomph to go ahead and
you
get a
have
book.
video, and I was just like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But again, I'm gonna, for some reason, as determined as you are, it's almost like you don't see some of you. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes people are so conceited that don't need to be conceited. I'm being honest. Sometimes people are so conceited, like, oh, but you are very modest about your tools that God gave you
Yeah,
because there's a saying that like where somebody actually has to deal with one challenge, God puts other things in place that heightens those other gifts that he gave
yeah,
you. Because people can go all their life, and there are people that have stories that should have been in a book,
yeah,
but never put it in a book. But I like to admire things that people miss. And I think that even sometimes when you're so modest, you miss your own gifts
yeah.
because you didn't have to. All right, so great, this man did a sermon or whatever, and I'm not shortchanging anything that was said,
No, it wasn't a sermon. He was a guest on this radio station.
but it was a spiritual radio station.
Yeah,
So all I'm
which my
saying,
car stayed on.
I'm saying, I'm saying all that to say that that it was you. It was the serial
Entrepreneur.
creative entrepreneur that actually pulled off doing this.
Yeah.
Life in the Daylight, which
So I
I
was.
thought it was so amazing. I remember in church or wherever we were when you said, I wrote a book, and I was like, and I'm a reader. I read, that's like my thing. So when I got this book and read it, I was like, she's amazing. That was what this was. Okay, so we talked about the author,
Hmm.
and I'm so glad that you are giving
And I wrote that in one of the hardest seasons. That's what I'm saying. In the hard
right.
one of the hardest seasons in my life. It was just coming out of a relationship, and because of the spina bifida, my mother always said you need somebody special in my life, and I thought I met that special person that I was comfortable with telling, and that's why I can say that
You can say the
I
things that
can
you
yes,
say.
so I can say the things I can say that I go to the bathroom by myself, one and two, openly because I did one and two in front of him, and I didn't. He didn't make me feel no kind of way about it. That's just me.
Love is love.
Yeah.
True love is true love.
Yep.
But so
But and
what
it
you
was hard
experience,
losing that.
what you experience in a relationship
Hmm.
is something that women and men go
Hmm.
through.
Yeah.
Hardship, heartbreak is something that people go through. So when you say that was your hardest season, I think that
Hmm.
you've had so many hard seasons, but you just
That.
took all those gifts.
Hmm.
The mental is a heavy thing to deal with. Mental, no
Yeah.
doubt about it, is a heavy thing to deal with. But I feel like one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to make sure I had you as a guest is because you're going to help somebody.
Yeah.
Not just with the spina bifida, not just with encephalitis, hydroencephalitis, but it is very, very imperative for people to be honest with your feelings sometimes and then give it to somebody so that you can help somebody that's going through something to get past what they're going through.
Yeah.
So I think that there's so much beauty in your story, way outside of the miracles that you actually um, experience, because
Yes.
they're miracles.
So when I so when I spoke in 2016, I was working for the county, and when they asked when my grandmother put me out there, I was writing part of my book and didn't realize it.
That
And
makes sense. That was a
and
chapter.
and there was the blueprint for the book. And
Wow.
after I spoke in
I just, art to me is something that people don't really understand. And I think you have so many different facets of art. Like, okay, you're tech savvy, but
Mhm.
you're artistic with it. I witnessed it. You did something for me that was amazing.
Yeah.
And the logo, the Nina's bag.
Oh,
logo,
yeah. I
she
forgot I did
created
that.
you see what I'm saying? I don't forget things like that because that is amazing.
I forgot I did
That
that.
is amazing. Now I want to talk more about her
Serial
serial
entrepreneur.
entrepreneur, serial
Serial
creative
creative entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurship. I want her to show you some of her other stuff. No, don't forget the book,
Yep.
Life in the Daylight, which is fly. It's like, we're privileged to have you tell us, but you can actually get a copy and read it. And
If you ever
give them your
see
site.
if you see me around town, I got copies in the look. Back in the day when people were selling their
Tapes or
tapes,
CDs
their
on the phone.
CDs
That's right.
I'm selling my book out the trunk of. It's literally in the trunk of my
That's what
car.
you do.
Copies are in the trunk of my
That's
car
okay. That's
all
what
the
you're supposed
time.
to
They
do.
for the last
But
4 years they have.
What's your site?
So there's Life in the Daylight on YouTube. I have my Etsy shop, Etsy.com/shop/daylight, and it's DAYLITE Creations 86.
We're gonna do that one more time. Etsy.
Etsy.com/shop/DAYLIT Creations 86. Working on getting my own site. It costs money, y'all. So
Etsy's smart.
I know
Etsy's very smart.
I know how y'all can help me. Y'all can buy my book.
And tell them how much is the book.
The book is $22, but I take a 20.
But wait, we don't want to. Now I know. She's comical on top of everything else, but I want to keep it. I'm gonna keep it 3,000. This book is worth way more, just simply because of the experience that she's gonna give. That she's gonna give us, and there
It's
are
an
pieces
easy
of this
read.
that I was able to apply to my life. So
It's a,
it's a beautiful
somebody
read.
somebody bought this book, read this book, and it helped them get over losing their dog, or help them through losing their dog. I didn't write it for that. I don't have a dog.
Listen, well, don't
I
get
don't I
sidetracked again because you guys
I
show
don't like
this is
dogs.
another part of her
But
serial creative
entrepreneurship.
entrepreneurship.
So for me to have my own website, y'all can help me by buying my book. I make t-shirts. I make graphics for
Do one at a
apparel.
time. Just leave them there and take
Okay.
one at a time and show them.
So
Yeah.
I made this. If y'all watch Abbott Elementary, y'all know Gregory and Janine. And y'all know how Gregory looks at Janine.
Oh my goodness. Give it to me. I'm gonna fold each one for you. And then keep showing them because she has amazing stuff.
And then I made this one. I celebrate Kwanzaa, and I love the last three principles of Kwanzaa. So this says, I always want to live in my Nia using my Kaumba. I have Imani that I will. Translation, I always want to live in my purpose using my creativity. I have faith that I will.
Which is
Nia
what you
means
do.
purpose, Kaumba means creativity, and Imani means faith.
Beautiful. There's that
And then
creative.
this is an inside joke between me and my sister friend that I met in Virginia that went to Howard. We didn't go to Howard together. She's a little bit younger than me. But the person that we met
That's
through,
such a cute jacket.
our nickname for him is Pooh Bear. And so this is what I made. I made Pooh Bear with a Howard Letterman jacket.
That is so adorable.
And then y'all may have seen this that follow me. I made this. This is a picture that I did of myself.
That's crazy.
Of me and my family. That's all me. And I put it on a sweatshirt.
That's so creative.
I used Canva and Photoshop to put it all together.
That's so crazy. That dress up, I was like, who's the guy in the picture? And it was
I just did this.
I love
I
that.
released this for Black History Month, which
Love
is why,
that.
because our black is gold.
Yes, it is. Let's
So,
do this.
This is
Show them that one.
this is Saved and Sexy. Grace and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I have this for everybody. I have the Saved and Sexy Black woman. I have the modest Black woman. And I made it for Black women, Black men, white women, white men. Because with Grace and Mercy, it's going to follow, should follow. You should feel like Grace and Mercy is following all the days of your life.
I love that.
Another Abbott Elementary reference, and everybody hates Chris because the character who plays Gregory is.
He's the same person that played in Everybody Hates Chris.
And this is me. I am a spina bifida warrior queen.
I love that.
And as we talked about, spina bifida, the color for spina bifida is yellow.
I didn't even notice that with the spine going. That's
That was
crazy. Listen, I'm so grateful that Rashon.
And I make candles by hand.
So
they're available.
Hence you understand the title, Serial Creative Entrepreneur.
I make flyers. I make logos, as you saw, that I even forgot that I do. I edit videos. I do photography.
She does great photography. She did. I think you did a couple of things for me. So I just want to say, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for being so sincerely honest. But I want you to give people one more reference of your site, because you have to speak about this book and speak about your clothing on your site, because we're going to put you out there. You know what I mean? As much as possible. Even your site, is it a YouTube site? I have a YouTube channel, Spider for that. Life in the Daylight Studios on YouTube. I have spelled like daylight. Yep, daylight spelled out. It's the title of my book is the title of my channel. But studios, Life in the Daylight Studios. And on that channel on Tuesday, Testimony Tuesday with the Ref. Wednesday, which I started this year, the beginning of this year, Worship Wednesdays, videos of me dancing and old videos of design praise dances at Riverview. On Friday is my cooking show, which I started a year ago around this time. And then from that, I have some things that's coming out of that. And from going. ... Yep. And then from. ... People ask me, when's my next book coming out? I have a book coming out, but it may not be what you think. I have a couple books coming out, but it may not be what you think. So wait, we could lump this all under one title. Serial creative entrepreneur. That title, I don't know how you came up with it, but it's so fit. You know how I came up. You know how I came up with it. I actually auditioned for Wheel of Fortune, and they asked me what you do, and that came right with that right on the spot. I love that. I love that. But listen, when you're going on one of your little excursions, please think of me, because I like to move too. Yeah. So listen, Nina's Bag is privileged and honored to have you here with us today, to take the time and give us your sincere, true life. And, you know, if there's anybody out there that has a relatable story to Rashon's, especially involving spina bifida and hydrocephalitis, please reach out to her on her channel, which is Life in the Daylight Studios. Life in the Daylight on YouTube. Stay with Nina's Bag. Let's see what's in Nina's bag next.